Good morning. Let me shut my door. Sometimes just gotta lock it. Keep the little boy out. My youngest is home today. Well, hey, today is the beginning of the midpoint of our series. How exciting is that? We are, let me move this closer. We are in week 13. Let that sink in for a moment. Seems like just yesterday we were getting started with this whole series. We're about halfway through, which is exciting. Well, not quite. 27 weeks roughly. So today we're covering the Aorist Indicative. It shares a lot of features from the Imperfect Indicative, which you've already read. So let's go ahead and dive in here. And let me... Cool. So, what is the aorist? It's past tense, simple action, whereas imperfect is past tense with a continuous action. Kinda. Okay, so aorist. I pronounce it aorist. That's how I learned it. I don't know if anyone pronounces it differently. Aorist, like aorta or something. I don't know. I pronounce it aorist. There are two kinds. The first kind... My dogs are outside. I'll be right back. No, Dad. No, Dad. Open it. My son. All right. So there's two kinds of aorist. There's the first aorist and the second aorist. This sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? That's right, because we had similar things with the future tense. So the same rules will apply here with the addition of an augment, which is I like to say, the indication you're dealing with past tense, okay? But this is in the indicative. We're going to learn other forms, other moods, and just trust me. So first, the first aorist is typically the same as the present tense stem. Okay, it'll still have an augment. It'll have the present tense stem, and then it'll have a tense formative, sigma alpha, or in some cases, alpha. Okay? So keep that in mind. It'll look like the present tense stem, but you'll have an augment and a tense formative. Now, the second aorist is typically the same as the verbal root, right? We saw that with the future tense. So, when that happens, it looks funny, looks different than what you're used to. This is why you need to be memorizing the root along with the first singular present active indicative, the lexical form, okay? Now, when you're looking at the second tense, because it's a different root, one, you'll see an augment, so you'll know it's some form of past tense. And two, with the different stem from the present tense, you will have learned the verbal root with your vocabulary, and so you'll be able to recognize it, okay? It is so critical to learn those roots when you learn your vocabulary. Do not overlook that, okay? If you have overlooked it, you need to go back and add the roots to your vocab cards, okay? Memorize those roots. Super, super important. Now, this is what the second aorist active indicative looks like. You have the augment, followed by the aorist active tense stem, which is typically the same as the verbal root. Then you have a connecting vowel. There's no tense formative. Okay? And then the secondary active personal endings. Let's talk about the augment. It's the same rules as in the imperfect. So if you are adding an epsilon in imperfect, you would add epsilon in the aorist, or in eta. Same rules, okay? It follows the same connecting vowel rules that we've been learning since present active indicative, okay? Those haven't changed. It's the same secondary active personal endings as imperfect. So what we learned last week applies here. All that is to say is this is nothing new. Second aorist active indicative is nothing new, just slightly different formations. Okay? You've learned the verbal roots with the future, right? So we're really putting all things together in a slightly different way, and boom, you got aorist. Okay? So don't let this intimidate you. You know what you're doing here. Okay? You just got to learn the patterns, and you can do it. So here's what a second aorist active indicative looks like. We're looking at lambano, to receive. I received. The verbal root is lab. You'll notice it's missing the me. Okay, so we take the verbal root. First thing we do is add the augment in green there, the epsilon. Okay? Then we add the connecting vowel on the end, the omicron. Then we add the ni for the first person singular secondary active ending. And then we end up with elabon. Elabon. There you go. Okay. He received. It's not continuous, so we wouldn't say he was receiving. It's simple action. He received. So here's lambano in full. Elabon, elabes, elaben. That ni is a movable ni, so it sometimes is there, sometimes is not. Elabomen, elabete, elaben, elabon. I never get the accents quite right. So I received, you received, he, she, it received, we received, you all received, and they received. So here's balo. Okay, so balo is liquid, right? But because its verbal root only has the one lambda, we're just going to use ball with one L. Add the augment, add the connecting vowel, add the secondary active endings. Boom. Ebalon, ebales, ebalen, ebalomen, ebalete, ebalon, ebalon. I still can't say that one right. So there you go. I threw, you threw, he threw, we threw, you all threw, they threw. Again, same thing as the imperfect. The first person singular and third person plural are identical, but context is key. Okay? Here's another one. Lipo means I lack. And you can see in the verbal root, it's just lambda iota p. Okay? So it drops that initial epsilon. So you add your augment, add your connecting vowel, add your secondary active endings, and boom, you've got your second aorist. Now, when you're parsing these, you don't need to say first aorist, second aorist. You just say aorist. The first and second are simply ways of identifying patterns for identifying the aorist. Okay, so if you're parsing this in the workbook, you would simply say elipon. That's first person singular, aorist, active indicative, from lipo, meaning I lacked. And there you have it. Okay? So elipon, elipes, elipen, elipomen, elipete, elipon, elipon. And there you go. So I lacked, you lacked, he lacked, we lacked, you all lacked, and they lacked. So now we've got the middle. Second aorist middle indicative. It's the same augment rules. So we add an augment to the beginning. Then we have the aorist active tense stem. That's how we know we're dealing with a second aorist, right? Because it looks like the verbal root, not like the present tense. Then we have a connecting vowel, and then we have the secondary middle passive personal endings. The connecting vowels, unchanged. Verbal root, unchanged. Same secondary middle passive personal endings as the imperfect. Again, nothing has changed here. So don't let it intimidate you. You already know all this stuff. You just have to understand how they work together to form the aorist. Okay? Don't be intimidated. You already know this stuff. Okay? Let that be encouraging to you. So here's genome, which is middle, right? This is like beget, I become. So genome, so we add the augment to the beginning. The verbal root is gen, not gin. Okay, then we add the connecting vowel, and then we have the secondary middle passive personal endings. So again, agenomine, agenu, agenito, agenometha, ageneste, agenonto. Okay. So that would be I became, you became, he became, we became, you all became, they became. Okay, so that was all second aorist. Second aorist has no tense formative. Instead, it uses the verbal root. But the first aorist uses the present tense stem. And therefore, how do you differentiate that from the imperfect? Simple. You add a tense formative. So you have an augment plus the aorist active tense stem. In this case, it's going to be the present tense stem most of the time. And then you have the tense formative, sigma alpha, and then the secondary active personal endings. So the tense formative eliminates the need for the connecting vowel. So you'll see there is no connecting vowel here. The sigma alpha takes its place. Okay? It still uses the same endings as the imperfect with one exception, the first person singular. Okay? Now, the keys to the first aorist is 1, you have an augment, and 2, you have the sigma alpha tense formative. But because you have the sigma alpha tense formative, the other key is the square of stops. Okay? Now, remember that you lengthen the ending vowel of the stem. You lengthen the ending vowel of the stem prior to the tense formative, just like future contract verbs. Okay? That's for first aorist contracts. You lengthen the ending vowel. So alpha contracts, lengthen to an eta. Epsilon contracts, lengthen to an eta. Omicron contracts, lengthen to, you guessed it, omega. Now, there are liquid verbs where the stem's in lambda, me, ni, and rho. First aorist, so it uses the present tense stem. These will only have alpha as the tense formative, no sigma. Okay? So it'd be augment plus aorist active tense stem plus alpha as the tense formative plus the secondary active personal endings. So here's Leo. It uses li, which is the present active indicative, the present active stem. So you see the augment plus li plus the sigma alpha tense formative, and then in the first person singular there is no ending. So it's Elisa. Okay? I destroyed. Second person singular, Elisas, you destroyed. Third singular, Elisen, he destroyed. First plural, Elisamen, we destroyed. Second plural, Elisate, you all destroyed. And third plural, Elisan, they destroyed. So that's one example. Here's blepo. The present active is blep. The stem is blep. Okay? Square of stops. P plus sigma is psi. So in this case, we have the augment, then blep, then sigma alpha as the tense formative. But because of the square of stops, the P and the sigma form together to the psi. Eblepsa, eblepsas, eblepsen, eblepsamen, eblepsate, eblepsan. Okay, so I saw, you saw, he saw, we saw, you all saw, they saw. Here's a first aorist active indicative alpha contract, agapao. Remember, the present active indicative of agapao is actually agapo. Well, in the aorist, you're going to have the augment at the beginning where the alpha becomes an eta. That's the augment. Then you see the alpha contract, the vowel at the end of the stem, because it uses the present tense stem. It lengthens to an eta. Then we have the sigma, alpha, tense formative, and no ending in the first singular. So it becomes iga pisa. So I loved. Iga pisas. You loved. I got a typo there. Iga pisen. He loved. Iga pisamen, we loved. Iga pisate, you loved. Iga pisan, they loved. Now here's meno. Meno's liquid. But it's also a little strange in that this one has iota in there. Amina, aminas, amin, aminen, aminamen, aminate, aminan. It's liquid, so there's no sigma in the tense formative. Sometimes this can happen where the iota will creep in some places. I want to say it often happens with liquids, especially with ni ending. Don't quote me on that, though. So, what is this? I remain, I think. I can't remember. I think it's I remain. So, I remained, you remained, he remained, we remained, you all remained, and they remained, I think. I should know this, but I forgot. So first aorist middle indicative, they use different personal endings, but otherwise it's the same formation, even for liquids. Augment, aorist active tense stem, in this case the present, because it's first, tense formative, sigma alpha, and then the secondary middle passive personal endings. So look at Leo. You can see the augment, the present tense stem li, the sigma alpha tense formative, and then mean for the secondary middle passive endings, right? Eliso, elisato, elisa metha, elisaste, elisanto. What's up with that omega after the sigma in the second person singular? Remember, it's contract rules, right? So alpha plus omicron is a dead fish, omega. So middle, we would just translate it reflexive for now. I destroyed myself. You destroyed yourself. He destroyed himself. We destroyed ourselves. You all destroyed yourselves. They destroyed themselves. Here's Meno in the middle. Again, you see the iota creeping in there because it's liquid. There's no sigma in the tense formative. Amin, amino, aminato, aminametha, aminaste, aminanto. So I don't know how that works reflexively. I remained myself. I'm not sure if that works, but you get the idea. So that's the first aorist middle indicative. There's some mixed aorists. Sometimes a second aorist verb will take a first aorist ending. Look at epone. You're not going to find that. You're going to find epon, and that's from Lego. Well, I shouldn't say that. You will find epone, but you can find epon. Ilthon, you can find ilthon. That's from erkome, I come, I go. Edon, sometimes you'll find edon, and that's from orao. And then sometimes instead of inenkon, that's a gamma nasal, inenkon, you'll have inenkan. Okay? And in this case, in the New Testament, it's always inenkan. But outside of the New Testament, you can find inenkon. Okay, it's from Pharaoh, I carry, I bear. And that's it. That's the aorist. That's a lot of stuff, though. We covered, I think, 2 different chapters here. A lot of content. So make sure you're keeping up with the personal endings, primary and secondary, active and middle passive. Make sure you're keeping up with the tense formatives, square of stops, connecting vowel rules, augment rules. Make sure you're keeping up with contract rules. These are all important. They build on each other. They will continue to build. So as we continue to get further along, if you don't have a commanding knowledge of this stuff, you're going to get behind. So review. Read, review, practice. If anything's still unclear, go back and re-review. Okay? Super important. But you can subscribe, come back next week. This is my last Friday episode. Thankfully, oh my gosh, I can't be more excited than to get back on the Saturday schedule. So next week, we'll be meeting on Saturday, not on Friday. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Saturday meetings for the rest of the lectures. So yeah, subscribe, and then also I took a week off. I was getting burnt out on the videos for the Greek word of the day, but I'm going to get back onto that. So you can continue to build your knowledge there. Of course, you have it in the book, so you don't need me to do it. But sometimes it's helpful to hear someone else say the word, provide additional insight. So I'll be doing that again. So subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you can continue watching this lecture, but also, whoa, hey there, microphone. Sorry about that. Ooh, my bad. But also the Greek video of the day. If you feel so led, you can help support me. First of all, like the video if you liked it. But also, there's the link below, streamlabs.com/phonophone1, if you feel like you want to donate. But you don't have to. This is free content. I'm hoping that anyone who watches this, and we've had a lot of viewers actually, which is cool. I haven't had a lot of live viewers. That's okay. I knew that would happen. But I've had a lot of people watching these after the fact, which is really cool. In fact, week one's, the first lectures got over 100 views. That's cool in and of itself. When I taught this course at Fuller, my first quarter, I think I had about 30 students. Maybe a little less. I can't remember. So if you think about it, if everyone who's watching these videos sticks with it, I've got over 100 students already, which is awesome. So I'm really excited about that. I know it seems small, but these videos are actually for the long haul. Over 10 years, that could reach 1,000 people, which is cool. So I'm excited about that. Again, it's free content. If you want to support, you can, but you don't have to. And stick around. Next week, we'll have lecture 14, and then we will officially be over the midway point. So exciting times. Keep up the good work. If you have any questions, make sure to come to the live chat next week on Saturday, or shoot me a comment in the video, and or hit me up on social media, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. All right? Have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.